stay silent and seated while Ms. Obiak gives roll call.
Jose Rosario.
Here.
Taylor Dean. Lori Cepeda. Here. Thomas Lima.
Here.
Patrick Hurd.
Here.
David Alden Sears.
Here.
Leandro Alvarez.
Here.
Jeremy Booten.
Here.
Luisa DeVidio. Gabrielle Emery. Here. Vanessa Ruggieri. Here. Scott Kane. Michelle Murphy-Behrman.
Here.
Nicholas Lima.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now move on to item 2, approval of the agenda. I'm seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion from Secretary Cepeda. Second from Deputy Speaker Alden Sears. Is there any discussion of the agenda? Hearing no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the agenda is approved. Now move on to item 3, approval of minutes of January 25th, 2017, and special elections meeting of February 1st, 2017. Seeking a motion to approve. Motion from Vice President Dame, second from Representative Ruggieri. Is there any discussion of the minutes? Hearing no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of January 25th, 2017, and special elections meeting of February 1st, 2017, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the minutes of both meetings are approved. Now move on to item 4, speakers. Ana Cano Morales, Associate Vice President for Community Equity and Diversity. Please stand and you may address the body.
Thank you. Where would you like me? People just stand?
Over there is fine.
Well, here's Well, thank you so much for the invitation, especially President Rosario for being so kind. And almost immediately when I got to campus, extended the invitation for me to come to one of these meetings. So I thank you, esteemed student government body. My name is Ana Cano Morales, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Community Equity and Diversity. I've been here for now 3 weeks. It seems like 3 months. Been talking to a lot of people, meeting a lot of people, listening a lot, and also thinking about the future, right? So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm a graduate of Rhode Island College. I graduated with a Master's in Social Work, so I'm a graduate in the School of Social Work. And I'm also a graduate in the undergraduate program from the University of Rhode Island through the Talent Development Program, which is a TRIO program for Rhode Island students. I'm a first-generation student myself. My mother and father came here from Colombia. I was just talking to my neighbor here who happens to know my family. From Colombia in the 1960s to work in the factories in Central Falls and Pawtucket. So I am that first generation student that was given an opportunity to go to school here in Rhode Island and to choose a career that I wanted to not have to work in the fields that my parents worked with their hands as laborers. And I can tell you that I worked at the Rhode Island Foundation for about a decade, 10 years, and so I was on the grant-making side of things. The Rhode Island Foundation is one of the country's largest and oldest community foundations, and was able to be a vice president there, actually, and advising the president and the board of trustees of the Rhode Island Foundation how to invest in worthy causes around Rhode Island. I most recently was the director of the Latino Policy Institute at Roger Williams University, so I have some familiarity with higher education, albeit that is a private institution, and so somewhat different in some areas, but in other areas very similar to Rhode Island College. I'm a policy wonk. I love data analysis and research, and to be able to make a difference systemically, right? That is what my social work background has taught me and has trained me well. Coming from Rhode Island College School of Social Work. I'm from North Providence. I currently live in North Providence, although I was born and raised in Central Falls. And I want to mention Central Falls a little bit because there is a burgeoning partnership between the Rhode Island College and Central Falls School District. It's called the Innovation Lab, and if you don't know much about it, you should really ask some questions and maybe find out yourself, because it's really something very, very promising for not just Rhode Island College, future educators in the School of Education, but also for the District of Central Falls as we build capacity to ensure that we're effectively educating every single child that we have in our school system. So I play a role in Central Falls Public Schools, and usually I am, where Jose is right now, is I'm the chair or the president of the school board. And so this parliamentarian procedure is very familiar to me, Robert's rules and all of that good order, because this is a public body, so I'm an appointed official. And therefore, all of our notes and our deliberations need to be made in public for everybody to see. We are a school district that is completely funded by the state of Rhode Island. It is governed by state officials, myself included, and we are doing some really remarkable things in the District of Central Falls. I'd love to invite you all, if you are interested in maybe having one of your student government meetings in Central Falls or in Central Falls High School, which is the home of Viola Davis, by the way, who's a pretty famous Rick Rad, among other things. Would love to be able to have you up on stage in the auditorium in Central Falls High School, so that is my personal invitation to you. Just a minute about kind of what is ahead for this office. So this office is new. It was never here. It was created through the leadership of your new president, Dr. Frank Sanchez. So most colleges and universities, whether they're public or private, have either a chief diversity officer or a vice president for diversity or equity inclusion. They call it a whole bunch of stuff. Rhode Island College didn't have that, ever. And so this is an inaugural position. It's an inaugural division. It will be properly staffed and resourced. And I'm leading it with your help and everybody else's help. People have been very, very welcoming in the past 3 weeks, and I'm sure that welcoming feeling will continue. I also work with great colleagues, and some of you may already know some of these colleagues that have kind of come under this new division. There's been some transitioning or shuffling going around. Antoinette Gomes, who is the director of the Unity Center, now reports to me, as does Carrie Rossi Dermott, who is part of the Disability Services Center, or Disability Student Services, reports to me. And a new member to the team who started just a week before I did, Margaret Lynch Gadalita, and she goes by the name of Peggy, so Peggy Lynch Gadalita, who is our new Title IX officer. She's an attorney by profession. She's a former prosecutor, and she's worked in organizations that have worked on issues around sexual abuse, sexual assault, rape, domestic violence. And so what's happened that I think you all need to know about is Rhode Island College has come out, I guess, is the phrase I want to say, and has made a very deliberate move, a strategic move, to ensure that the title investigations or the Title IX work that's happening on behalf of Rhode Island College and on behalf of students who have legitimate complaints are no longer going to be done through the Office of Human Resources. They're going to be done through this individual called Peggy Lynch Gadalita. So I would love to have her come in a future meeting so she can talk specifically what she will do. She's going to look at all of our policies to see if we're in compliance, to see how far we go, to see if we go far enough, and look at all of the other compliance issues, federal law compliance issues, that we have to abide by as a public institution. So I'm super thrilled to be able to work with her, as well as Antoinette and Carrie. The Women's Center, so some of you know, or many of you know, that the Women's Center is in the Unity Center, but it's staffed by a graduate student, and I shouldn't say but it doesn't have a full-time person. One of the things that I'd love to do is explore how to build capacity in the Women's Center, to have some more robust programming coming out of the Women's Center. There also isn't a full-time presence on campus for the LGBTQ community, particularly students. And I've been very pleased to read some of the proposals and some of the languages, resolutions that this body has, and your president has brought to the president's attention, President Sanchez's attention, has now landed on my desk. And so that's another area that I hope to be working on as well. And then also just looking at being proactive. When was the last time Rhode Island College took a climate survey? How are we doing? When was the last time we took a temperature check about issues of microaggressions or issues of racism or inclusion? And when was the last time we really looked at Rhode Island College, the campus, the experience through different diverse lenses? And I think the answer to that is we haven't done a very good job of that. And we're being honest about it. We're recognizing it, but it's my job and our job collectively to go forward and build from that. I think I'll end there because I don't really have any specifics that I'm like working on, because I literally just got here a few weeks ago and I've just been meeting great people and talking to people and listening, but I want to continue to do that. But I welcome you to either call me. My extension is 8810. I'm located in Roberts Hall in room 113, right next to the Kelly boardroom. And Peggy, who I just talked about, if you want to have a confidential conversation with her, or if you know of anybody that does, she is right next door to me in room 111. I'm in the email, directory, so feel free to reach out to me. Invite me anywhere that you feel is relevant. I will come if my schedule allows. Send me information if you think it's helpful. And we are super excited to be able to work with you under this new division. Thank you.
Thank you. Please raise your card if you'd like to participate in the discussion. Is there any discussion? President Rosario.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for coming today and addressing this body. I know that we're working on a bunch of different advocate trainings and different resources for the college community. And I'd like to just say that if you find ways that this body can be helpful, we'd really like to also keep that communication sort of twofold and making sure that we're communicating back and forth. So please feel free to reach out if there's ever anything that we can assist you with.
Thank you. And as a matter of fact, I will do that probably next week because I'm going to be putting together a budget for this division. And I'd like to be able to see if there are collaborative work that we can do through this office and student government or the clubs that are in your purview. I'd love to be able to submit a budget for it. So thank you for that reminder. Or trainings or a speaker or discussions, colloquiums, whatever it is that we can do together.
Is there any further discussion? No further discussion? Thank you for coming.
Thank you very
and
much.
addressing the body.
Appreciate it.
Now move on to item 5, open forum. Is there anyone here for open forum? Is there anyone here for open forum? Is there anyone here for open forum? With no one here for open forum, the open forum period is declared closed. Now move on to item 6, officers' announcements. A, President Rosario.
Hello, everyone. I have a few announcements today, so please bear with me. First things first, tickets for Group Boston have gone on sale, and they will continue to be sold at the Welcome and Info Center. They are $10 for a RIC student until February 17th, and after that, they raise to $12. And for non-RIC college students, it's $15. So please feel free to reach out to your friends both on campus and off campus to really consider going to this event. It's a really big promotion of student life, and I'd love to really see all of you there. Secondly, the President's Inauguration Week is coming up, and we passed around a schedule of events for the week starting on Sunday, February 12th. Please try to make it to the events that you can attend based on your class schedules and your work schedules. It would be really nice to see students really involved and just participating and sharing their opinions. And later on throughout the agenda, we're going to be talking about the inauguration, so I think it'll be helpful to have a schedule of events. So I will be opening up for applications for the Chief of Staff position for the office. Basically, the Chief of Staff will be responsible for any duties delegated by myself or members of the Executive Council, and will just help keep the office functioning on a day-to-day basis. You'll be required to do 4 hours in the office between 9 to 5 or 9 to 3 on Fridays, and if you'd like to sign up to be interviewed for the position, please feel free to stop by the office Friday until February 14th. I'd also like to announce that Alan Salemi has been selected as our staff representative and should be starting at the next Parliament meeting. And finally, we have some swearing in to do. So if I could have Vice President Dane and Deputy Speaker Sears standing over here, please. Okay, gentlemen, so you have been selected by your peers. Today you'll be taking your oath of office and signing your oath, and you will officially begin your terms as officers of student parliament and corporation. So if you would not mind, please reciting your oath together.
We, the newly selected 2016 to 2017 executive officers of student community government, being aware of the honor which was bestowed upon us by our election as officers of SCG, do hereby pledge loyalty to this corporation and swear to protect and uphold the bylaws of the corporation. It shall be our earnest purpose to serve unsparingly of our time and energy toward the promotion of all SCG activities. We will strive to be at all times modest students and will never knowingly bring reproach upon this organization and Rhode Island College. We pledge ourselves to uphold the high purpose of this position for which we have been elected, striving in every way by word and deed to make its ideals and the ideals of the corporation of Rhode Island College our lives.
Awesome. If you guys don't mind signing your oaths, please. And before we finish the swearing in, these are your official Student Community Government Incorporated lapels. Welcome to the team, gentlemen. And with that concludes my announcement.
Thank you. Item B, Vice President Taylor Dane.
Hello. So for my announcements, I'm looking for people to serve on the Elections Commission and on the Public Relations Commission. I'm also looking for a Public Relations Director who would assist me in public relations. Currently, we have 3 petitions out to join Parliament. That's a good start, but we need more, so if you know anyone who would like to join, they should contact me or visit us at the office upstairs in Student Union 401. Additionally, we are starting accepting applications for the McGinnis Scholarship soon. That's on February 20th upstairs in the student government office. There's a couple of requirements you have to meet, but they're not too bad. If you want more information, you should seek me out on that. That's all from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary Cepeda.
Hi, everyone. So there's a roundtable coming up on February 22nd. So if you're part of a student organization or know someone who is, tell them to look out for the letter in the mailboxes reminding them about it the week before. I also have Parliament seats open on the Student Organizations Committee. It's getting to a pretty busy time of year because we're working on the Story Awards and everything coming up with that. So if you'd like to sit on the committee and help get new clubs started, come see me either after the meeting or Friday or next week when the office is open so we can have you fill out a committee appointment sheet. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. D, Treasurer Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't have many announcements. I am still looking for one more Parliament member to serve on finance. One recently joined. We also had one leave a couple of days when they were appointed to the position. So if you're interested, fill out the committee application. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you. Next is Speaker Hurd. I have one leave to bring for the body. Lucid Video writes, "Good morning. I am ready to inform the body that I will be unable to attend this week's Parliament meeting. I have an extra credit obligation for a class from 5 to 8 p.m. Thank you, and I hope you have a productive meeting." Lucid Video. I'm seeking a motion to approve this leave. Motion by Secretary Cepeda, second by Representative Wooten. Is there any discussion? Alumni Representative Lima.
For after this leave, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving Lucid Video's leave, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? With that, Representative Video's leave passes. As for my announcements, I have 2 Parliament seats open on my Bylaws and Adjudication Commission. I would love if you would join. We don't have any work to do as of right now, but I'm sure we're fully capable of finding something to do, and that makes it exciting. So if you want to join an exciting committee, join Bylaws. I would like to open up for discussion to the body. Any comments? Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to submit a request for a late leave for myself.
Point of order, he's out of order, he was not present at roll call, so he cannot address the body.
The point of order is taken. Yes, you are out of order.
That's not quite right, but
If you would like to submit a late leave during Parliament, the proper way to do so is to slip me a written late leave, or someone can entertain a motion. Here's Vice President Dean has
I'd like to make
a
a motion for a late leave for Alumni Representative Lima.
motion by Vice President Dame, second by Deputy Speaker Alden Sears. Is there any discussion? Alumni Representative Lima.
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to state the reason for my leave is that I had to work late, so it was a little delayed in getting.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this leave? Hearing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of approving Alumni Representative Lima's late leave, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
No.
Abstentions? Alumni Representative Lima,
Okay.
can you even vote?
Point of order, yeah, I wouldn't be able to abstain because I'm not technically here until the leave passes.
And with that, his late leave is approved. Is there any further discussion on my announcements? With that, we'll move on to F, Deputy Speaker Alden Sears.
Hello, everyone. Sorry if I'm a little bit hoarse. I'm just getting over some illness. Just wanted to say that I'm actively recruiting members of Parliament to the Conditions and Services Committee. It's a great committee. So currently, we don't have any members of Parliament on the committee, but it's an important one. So I recommend all of you join. I'd also like to announce that recently, Representative Ruggieri and I, along with Kristen Salemi and Dave Toms, did a walk around of the campus, highlighting what would be good places to put digital advertising for the campus by the college. It's been very productive. I think it's great that they're looking for student involvement in the decision-making process, and we're very happy to be there. It was very productive, and it went well. And that concludes my announcements.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item 7, Constitutions and Organization Conference Reports. Item A, Conference Reports. Number 1, Accounting Association. Secretary Spada.
So we have a representative from the Accounting Association here. So if you could just please stand and introduce yourself and tell us about your conference.
Is this a good spot for you?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Merly Jimenez, for those of you who don't know me. I am the secretary for the Accounting Association. I am also a member of the Finance Committee. And I want to first, start off by apologizing. Our former president was not able to attend the prior meeting. Basically, the association attends a yearly conference, which is sponsored by the IMA, which is the Institute of Management of Accountants. We had the privilege of going in November of last year to Detroit, Michigan. And I just wanted to kind of just briefly pass around like all the global companies that we attended, and there's also some pictures of the t-shirt concert that t-shirt contest that we were involved in. We actually did win last year, and we ended up taking those funds and we used them for the trip from November. The purpose for the trip is basically for the exposure to the different companies. We attended different seminars. We ended up, sitting down in front of like different lectures, and we had the privilege of listening to different speakers. And they just basically talked about their own companies. They were also talked about their own personal experience, and basically just what they did, how they got to where they are, at the time. We actually left with loads of knowledge and tons of resources.
So they encourage us to lead by example and to never give up on our dreams. And we brought back that knowledge to our colleagues, and this is what the Accounting Association is all about. Basically, it's just teaching others what we get from these different conferences every year. And we just want to thank you on behalf of the Accounting Association to be able to provide us with the funds. So we thank SCG for that. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to approve. I don't think there's a motion on the table.
Motion from Treasurer Lima, second from Vice President Dane. Is there any discussion on this conference report? Hearing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the County Association's conference report, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the conference report is approved. Thank you. Now move on to item 2, Rick Democrats. Secretary Spada.
All right, so we have a representative here from Rick Democrats, no? Yeah, I'm going to check one side quickly. So there isn't a representative present, so I'd like to motion to table their report to our next meeting.
Motion from Secretary Cepeda, second from Deputy Speaker Alvin Sears. Is there any discussion on the motion? Treasurer Lima.
Just to that effect, the representative could be running later, so I'd be more comfortable striking this table and then tabling to representatives, to when representation shows up. So that's just my opinion.
Are you making the amendment?
No, I was going to amend the motion to the table.
Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, we move to vote. All in favor of tabling the Rick Democrats conference report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
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 Abstentions? With that, the ayes have it. Dr. Logan Behrman abstains. That the ayes have it. And the conference report is tabled. Now move on to item 3, Political Science Club, conference report, Secretary Spada.
Is there anyone here from the Political Science Club?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so you can just introduce yourself and tell us about the...
Esteemed members of Student Community Government. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carson Moore. I am the Vice President of the Political Science Club. And I'm going to give my report. Recently, the Political Science Club, in conjunction with the Rick Democrats, went to Washington, D.C. So I'll give you my verbal experience quickly. I know we have submitted a written paper as well, but verbally speaking, I'll try to keep on that. Anyway, so we went for the inauguration, and then we also went to the Women's March. And some of the things that I learned, I guess to start with, I really learned what people meant by privilege, in the sense that the group is very diverse. We had a lot of women of color, and we were going to this inauguration, which was President Trump. Whether or not you support the president is beside the point. His audiences was a very particular type of person, and I'm the type of person who's very just like, I believe in the Constitution and my rights, and I can say what I want. Whether or not
Mr. Speaker, the report is going more into personal experience.
Oh, but I thought that was like
We'd like
about
to focus on what the organization as a whole gained from the educational trip.
The point of order is well taken. Please
Right.
your discussion.
Okay,
to
but that was a
the
good point.
conference
for the
itself.
record. Yes. Okay. As a whole, we learned about respect to the democratic process, yada yada yada, things like that. But I think okay, stop being personal is very important, because we're in a device of political time and understanding yourselves in political. Okay. We also learned about the spirit of protest, because we went to the Women's March and the non-violence protest. We collectively, joined in on that. It was definitely fascinating to be part of history, with the largest protest in United States history, with approximately over 3 million people worldwide. Am I allowed to say personal things? Because I think it's very important, because it's a learning experience, and I can only speak from my personal view. Does anyone have any questions, Robin?
Seeking a motion.
I motion to approve.
Motion from Treasurer Lima. Seeking a second.
Second.
Second from President Rosario. Is there any discussion on this conference report?
I have questions.
Treasurer Lima.
So how, personally speaking, how would you say you enjoyed the conference as an attendee?
Well, thank you for asking. Because personally speaking, you're with a certain type. It was a very particular audience, and a lot of the people felt unsafe being in those giant crowds with a lot of people with all their Trump hats and things like that, and they were very worried about their personal safety. And I could really understand being in that environment because I've never been to a presidential inauguration or a large-scale gathering of that matter of such a politically tense time. How they would just look at me and they kind of wouldn't stare at you, but they really would. People would feel differently. They'd feel like they were being looked at or targeted, and that's wrong, obviously. But I could understand that. I really feel that, and I think that's sad. That you don't, and I take that for granted. And then part of the protest, it was interesting. The Women's March was so peaceful. It was literally America. It was all different people from everywhere. One thing I did notice though, we weren't near it. There was some anarchists trying to cause havoc, which you probably saw in the news with the burning of a limo. And I understood why people complain about the media a lot in the sense that this was a group that would say, I'm an anarchist, I'm not here as a political agent, I'm here because there's a large group and I can cause trouble. And these people, the rules of when you go to the inauguration or protest, you have you should wear a clear bag, things like that. They're all clad in black and things like that. And then the TV just says these are the protesters, and I understood that's not right because these people aren't protesters. They're literally anarchists. If you ask them, they'll say they're an anarchist. And I could see how they're being lumped together, and that really frustrates people because the whole picture isn't being said. There's a lot of dynamics. But, what I noticed, part of the peaceful protest, because there was officers firing tear gas, and there was the line of protesters yelling at the officers, vice versa. But then everybody would go in Five Guys to have food and use the restroom. And in there was hardcore liberals, hardcore Trump supporters, the National Guard and the police, but everyone was relaxed. There was no hostilities. It was this underlying belief that people weren't mad at other people for who they were. It was really more so, I'm upset with you for what you believe, but I honestly believe that I can change your beliefs if we talk about this. So there wasn't any of that hostilities, and I thought that was really part of how ingrained, our notions of peaceful protests are and how important that is to our democracy. It was very interesting seeing that. It was just this binary difference between this outside square and inside in this very tranquil environment. Anyone have any other questions? I'd like to
Thank you. President Rosario.
In summary, I just would like to know, do you think that this experience is beneficial or a learning experience for college students?
Without a doubt. For those of you who've never been to our nation's capital, you go there and there's almost something that you can touch. We went to all the museums, the National Mall, we went to the new Smithsonian African American History Museum, the Washington Monument, and there's this feeling of what America can be, and what we want it to be, and you can touch that. It's very emotional, and you learn a lot about who we are as a nation. You see, because all the states are there. It's everyone coming together. We're in Rhode Island a lot, and we don't really think about it everywhere else. But when you go there, the way the architects designed it, with all these beautiful monuments, is about this coming togetherness, about really what America can be. And even though we're upset a lot with what's happening, it kind of speaks to this belief that we can always make the world better. And experience, and also being part of a peaceful protest, going to meet your representatives, talking to them, meeting all of the people, and understanding how diverse of a spectrum it is. It's priceless. You can't put a price on when you look at Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial, and you look at the Gettysburg Address, and you're just reading that, and just time slows down. You can't see a picture that doesn't do it justice. You look around everybody, and you kind of have this feeling we can do better and we can be okay. It's so powerful.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the Science Club Conference Report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? Vice President Damon abstains, Dr. Brophy Behrman abstains, and with that, the conference report is approved.
Thank you so much.
Now move on to the Constitution. One, Apex, Secretary Spada.
All right, so we have Lisa here representing the Apex Society. So if you could please stand and introduce yourself and tell us about the organization.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you so much. I'm president representing APEX, the American Production and Inventory Control Society. The organization will essentially, it's an organization for business students to introduce them and have more outside of the classroom experience. There's a lot of networking, a lot of events and presentations that you can attend to grow as a professional in the business world. Regarding events that we can do or benefits, actually, rather that APEX can offer us students here at Raleigh College are scholarship. They have a scholarship that helps business students finance their education. I myself am a recipient of one of their scholarships because I am a member. So membership is free. I feel like I need to point that out. So you just become a member as a business student. You need to be a business student. You can be an art student. But we're basically targeting business students. If you become a member, you can apply for a scholarship and it helps you fund for your school. That's one benefit. Another benefit is they provide a lot of resources for the students at either no cost or discount rates. So as a business student, it's always good to have extra certifications on your resume, and they help you with classes, and you just take those classes at a discount rate, and you put on your resume, so it's good. Another thing, they have a conference, a case competition every year. The one's going to be this March, and we're going to be going to a team of 4. The competition is simulation lab. They give you a company, and you have to state the financial wins, and it just helps you learn what's happening in the real world. Although it's kind of like a fixed environment, you can kind of get an idea of what it will be like in the real world. So it's essential, important, and beneficial for the business students here at Raleigh College. There's no other club that I feel offers that as a management major. We did have one, but they don't really meet, from what I understand, and so it'll be beneficial to have that applied to the students. That's it. It's brief. Any questions?
Thank you. Seeking a motion to approve the Constitution. Motion from Vice President Dame. Seeking a second. Second from Representative Enright. Is there any discussion? Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, I noticed that the Secretary raised her card and as she's presenting the Constitution. I'll defer my questions until after she has an opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Secretary Spada.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the letter of intent that came with the Constitution. The last sentence of the first paragraph reads, as an APEX chapter at RIC, we agree to abide by the APEX national policies and all SEG policies. I'd like to reword that to we agree to abide by the APEX national policies and any and all SEG policies.
Can you repeat where that is?
It's on the letter of intent of the Constitution, the last sentence of the first paragraph. So it would read, as an APEX chapter at RIC, we agree to abide by the APEX national policies and any and all SCG policies. And I would like that amendment to be friendly.
What is actually changing in that sentence?
And any and all. So national policies and any and all SCG policies.
Is there any objection to this amendment being accepted as friendly? Hearing no objection, the letter of intent is amended to read as an APEX chapter at RIC. We agree to abide by the APEX national policies and any and all SCG policies. Secretary Spada.
That's all I have.
Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through the chair, to actually Secretary Spada, is this going to be classified as a funded organization or as an exclusive non-funded organization, given the, is this the latter?
It's not an exclusive organization. It's open to any majors.
Is it reading the Constitution? There are a couple of exclusive provisions, such as paying of dues, chapter fees, the admission of only full-time students rather than, which would exclude probably more than half the student body from being able to participate. There's also other provisions, such as an article indicating the suspension of bylaws, which I'm a little concerned about, because that would mean that this document could therefore be suspended. The bylaws refers to a document separate from the Constitution. I'm not really sure on that point. It is obviously the letter of intent certainly states compliance with SDG, but there's nothing in the body of the Constitution itself that states that, which would be found in other constitutions approved by this body.
So we could, am I allowed to open it for discussion? Or like to pass?
It would be continuing the current list.
Okay.
So I've asked those questions through the chair to the secretary.
Yes, you may respond, but you can't open for discussion again.
So would a solution be to just state in the letter of intent that the SDG policies would be above the APICS national policies? That way there's less confusion about in what scenarios which ones would be.
Well, my only concern would be that if it is going to be a funded organization, it does have to be open to all members regardless of their full or part-time student status or their ability to pay dues and chapter fees and things of that nature. And they also obviously wouldn't be able to suspend bylaws without coming to this body, since this body is essentially ratifying the bylaws.
So I saw the representative actually raised her hand. I think she has something to contribute. I'd like to yield the floor to her.
So regarding the fees, part-time students are not allowed a non-expensive, free membership. But if you're a full-time student, you are allowed free membership. As a part-time student, you do have to pay for a fee. So it's just their own requirement for students. So there is a fee for part-time students.
So, my point would be there that would make the organization exclusive from that level of funding because it's not open to all students, it would be paid students.
So then that would categorize it as a non-funded organization?
Yes.
Okay.
Then to my other point, just on the suspension, ability to suspend the bylaws, I mean, you might be able to answer this question better too. Are the bylaws or in Constitution separate documents, or are the bylaws of the day-to-day operations of how to run the club, whereas the Constitution is this document, or are they just used interchangeably?
They're given to me interchangeably.
Okay. So according to this document, the club can by a 2/3 vote suspend its own bylaws, which we can't even do as a body at this level. So I would recommend, I'm not sure, because I did notice another provision in here too, this is another question I have, that this document, there's an indication it's supposed to comply strictly with the national constitution. I don't know how much wiggle room there is to amend or change things within here without violating that provision. I don't know if you'd be able to elaborate at all on that.
Not so much. I mean, they gave that to me fixed. He does say I can make some adjustments if I need to for my school, so that we are
Okay.
free to make adjustments.
But I think if any adjustment is to be made, it's that one that allows the suspending of this document by the club. It's with any organization, that would mean that they would therefore have more authority than this body does over this document, which obviously would be out of protocol. So I would suggest a friendly amendment to strike Section 2, suspension of bylaws, which is in Article 9. The standing rules may be temporarily suspended by a 2/3 vote of those present at any meeting of the board.
Motion from alumni representative Lima, I'm seeking a second.
But I suggest that as a friendly amendment, if there's any
Is
objections.
there any objection to this amendment being accepted as friendly? Secretary Spada does not want to do that. I'm seeking a motion to strike Section 2 from Article 9.
I'd second that motion.
Motion by alumni representative Lima, second by treasurer Lima. Is there any discussion? Secretary Spada.
Before voting on this, I just want to mention that we should double check with the National Society to make sure that they're allowed to strike that from their bylaws. And if that's not the case, then we can go through and adjust the changes to the Constitution along with the representative from the organization. So we could always table this to go back to the student organizations committee.
Motion to table.
There are still people on the list to discuss this.
I still would have the floor.
You still have the floor, yes.
So right now we're discussing the amendment.
Yes, we are.
If Treasurer Lima would agree to withdraw his second, I would be willing to withdraw my motion.
The motion is withdrawn. We will now resume the
So
list.
comes back to me.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So my next question would be, were you planning to seek funding for the organization, or are you comfortable being an unfunded organization?
They provide a lot of funds for us, so we weren't looking really for funds. For example, the trip that we have for the competition is completely funded and paid by them.
Thank you. I think I'll yield my time back to Secretary Cepeda, because I do agree with your suggestion to perhaps table until such time as we can clarify with maybe the national to make sure that there would not be any conflict.
Secretary's good.
I'd like to make a motion to just refer the Constitution back to the Student Organizations Committee for further review.
I'd second the motion.
Motion from Secretary Cepeda, second from Treasurer Lima to refer back to committee. Is there any discussion on this motion? If there no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of referring this Constitution back to committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? And that the Constitution is referred back to the Student Organizations Committee. Now move on to item 2, Constitution's Strength and Conditioning Club. Secretary Cepeda.
So we have Andrew here representing the Strength and Conditioning Club, and he will answer and tell us about the organization.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my proposal for the Rhode Island College Strength and Conditioning Club. My name is Andrew Papineau. I am a current student at Rhode Island College in the Community Health and Wellness major with a concentration in Wellness and Movement Studies. Currently, there is only one club relating to health-related fields, and that is the Health and Physical Education and Wellness Club. However, their primary objectives is to help students with those interests of becoming a physical education teacher or a health education teacher. However, the Rhode Island College Strength and Conditioning Club will serve a purpose for those students who wish to pursue alternative health-related fields, such as athletic training, strength and conditioning, physical therapy, occupational therapy, as long as personal training. Now, the primary objective of the Rhode Island College Strength and Conditioning Club will give students the ability to have hands-on learning opportunities at the rec center. We will have seminars of professional people come in to help students gain the professional development they need later in life. Now, the issue that with the other club from the HBE and W club is that they're not giving students like myself the opportunity to pursue professional development for me later in life. Now, I feel as if it's my responsibility for my fellow classmates to form a club to help pursue not only my professional development, but other students who are in my alternative health-related fields as well. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Motion to approve by Treasurer Lima, second by Vice President Dane. Is there any discussion on this Constitution? Secretary Cepeda.
For anyone who didn't know what club he was referencing before, because he used the abbreviation, it's the Health, Wellness, and Fitness organization we have here on campus, so if anyone was wondering what that was.
Is there any further discussion on the Constitution? Hearing no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the Strength and Conditioning Club Constitution, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the Constitution is approved. Thank you. Now move on to Constitutions Act 3, Pride Alliance. Secretary Cepeda.
So we have Talent Representative and also President of the Pride Alliance, Representative Vanessa Riccieri, here to speak to us about the changes they want to make.
So, as you know, I don't know if you guys know or not, but Pride Alliance used to be known as HOPE, which is Helping Others Promote Equality, and we've recently kind of taken over the organization, picked it back up, and we're trying to start new, which includes changing our name. We made a couple of minor changes, like for example, we changed all of the his slash her to there, just to be more inclusive, and we changed a couple small things in our officer and advisor stuff. And that's really
All right, I'm seeking a motion to approve. Motion from Treasurer Lima, second from Representative Enright. Is there any discussion on this Constitution? Yes.
I just have two friendly amendments. For the first one, for Article 6.1, Section 1, we just wanted to delete the Public Relations Coordinator and Program Coordinator, just because those don't have descriptions. So it would read, The executive board shall consist of a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, period. And then another, just a tiny amendment was to change Article 7, Section 3.3. So it would read, makes public to the membership of the minutes of said meeting within the number 24 written out, and 24 in the parentheses hours, period. That's all.
Is there any objection to this amendment being accepted as friendly, these two amendments? Hearing no objection, these amendments are accepted as friendly. Is there any further discussion on the Constitution? Alumni Representative Lima is on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative. I just actually had one issue, and that was that with the 6.1.1. Since you've already made the amendment to remove those two items, I just was wondering if that was an oversight or something left over from maybe an older Constitution. I can say too, though, that there is precedent that there are organizations on campus that, even though they don't have a position like a PR coordinator or something in their bylaws, the club from time to time certainly has the ability to, within its own right, create a standing committee essentially of a position like that. So even though it's not in the bylaws, if at some time you decide you need a PR coordinator or a program coordinator, the officers of the club can always can do that internally without having to amend the document.
Thank you.
So that said, because of my amendment has already been amended, I pass further, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Treasurer Lima.
This little body is aware this organization is Hope as it is. It's replacing Hope with a name change. So all their funding would carry over under this new name now from Hope. Just in case anyone wasn't aware. This isn't a new, it's just a name change as far as funding is concerned.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion of the Constitution? Hearing no further discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the Pride Alliance Constitution, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? Representative Ruggieri abstains. And with that, the Constitution is approved. Congratulations. Just a note to our guests, you're welcome to stay, but you're not required to. We move on to item 8, reports. Item A, Finance Commission meeting minutes of January 25th, 2017. Treasurer Lima.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A motion from Treasurer Lima, second from Vice President Dean. Is there any discussion on the finance minutes? Treasurer Lima.
Yeah, these minutes were approved today in finance. Finance has been rolling along pretty much well. Today was a busier meeting where those minutes will be seen soon, and what's that all right now anyway. Aside from that, just changes to the minutes. I'm staying in the Parliament.
Thank you. Alumni Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through the chair to Treasurer Lima, just one quick question.
Yes.
In reading the minutes, I did notice that there's going to be some discussion at some point about possibly funding policy revisions, and I did notice also that amongst the discussion at this particular meeting was discussion pertaining to conferences and the individual student cap and organizational cap. I'm just wondering if you're aware of when the last time those caps were raised, or there may be any intention from the Finance Commission and ultimately this body to raise those caps in accordance with the inflated prices of conferences in recent years.
I can't speak for this body, but that will be coming to finance at a future meeting. That was discussed at this meeting previously on the 25th. It was brought up in today's meeting, which we'll see those minutes at the next Parliament meeting. And you also may see something in my announcements that's related to the discussion in these minutes. That answers your question.
Do you know when the last time those caps were actually raised? I imagine it might be
I know
several
they
years
were
ago.
put in place in 2013, in the spring of 2013.
Thank you, Treasurer Lima. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion of the meeting minutes? Hearing no further discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the Finance Commission meeting minutes of January 25th, 2017, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the meeting minutes are approved. Now move on to item B, Student Organizations Committee meeting minutes of November 19th, 2016, and January 25th, 2017, Secretary's Committee.
These minutes were accepted by my committee, and I ask that they be approved with unanimous consent.
Is there any objection to these minutes being accepted with unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, they're accepted. Now move on to item C, roundtable meeting report of November 16th, 2016, Secretary's Committee.
So this is my roundtable report for November 16th. It was held upstairs in 422. It was mainly an opportunity for the clubs and organizations in attendance to talk about how the events they held so far this semester are running, what difficulties they face, and what challenges they face, and how they got through them. One of the things that kept coming up was the cost of having food at their events. Some organizations are spending most of their budgets on food. They're saying that they can save a lot of money if they could have outside vendors bring food in. And it's also limiting them as to what they can bring in. So that's something that keeps coming up. And they're having trouble recruiting new members, so I tried bringing back what we learned at the ASGA conference, branding their events and letting organizations know when they're meeting. One of the organizations that I saw somewhat took advantage of that was CBSA, because they used their free points at student marketing to put a poster up in the bridge saying when their meetings are and where they are, and that they're on a weekly basis so that students can go and attend if maybe their class is canceled one day and they want to drop by. And I told them that it would be great to see more of a presence of student organizations here on campus, because you walk around, you don't really see what students are doing or what's going on. So if they could try to publicize their events on social media, but also go back to putting things out in person, like flyers and where people would see them. There were 9 clubs in attendance. It was a lot lower than what clubs have gone to previous roundtables. Then I met with 3 on separate occasions to talk about the roundtable, so we brought the total up to 12. The previous roundtable had about 20 clubs and organization secretaries in attendance. So hopefully for this next one on the 22nd, if I catch them at an earlier time, more clubs will be in attendance and it'll be a more productive meeting.
All right, receiving me a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Secretary Cepeda, second from Treasurer Lima. Discussion. Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For Secretary Cepeda, just a quick question. I know in the past, some secretaries have utilized both roundtable reports, such as this, and attendance at those meetings, as well as program evaluation reports submitted to the Secretary's office to inform the Finance Commission through the budget process, which I know is currently underway, in the actual hearings themselves, and presenting a report either from the Secretary's office or from the Student Organizations Committee to recommend various levels of funding for those organizations. Is that something that you're doing under your secretariat, or is that something you take an active role in using this report, or is that something that you don't intend to really?
So I did, when I was secretary last year, I did type up based on the program evaluations, whether or not they had an active presence, and if the funds, if I can see like that they're using their funds. I will be at the budget hearings this year, and I will type up like that same type of report to see what clubs have actually gone through and held their events, and I'll be able to get my recommendations then.
And the only reason I asked is when I became the secretary, I had no idea about that role. It actually hadn't been done for almost 15 years prior, and then it was done intermittently by different secretaries after that time. So I'm glad that you're on it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Treasurer Lima.
Kind of touched on this, Madam Secretary, as far as the advertising goes, the attendance. Just a question for the next roundtable. Do you have any specific changes to how the roundtables are going to be advertised?
I'm going to try and come up with a nice ad, an eye-catching ad to put in the Acre newspaper with our new vice president. Hopefully he can help me in here as the PR coordinator. I'm going to do more on our Facebook and Instagram page. I'll print a few flyers and hopefully just get word of mouth around with the student organizations today.
All right, great. Answers my question.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion of the report? Hearing no further discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of approving the roundtable meeting report of November 16th, 2016, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, the report is accepted. Now move on to item 9, old business. A, Groove Boston update, Secretary Cepeda.
So with Groove Boston, the tickets are already on sale. As President Rosario mentioned earlier, they're going to be $10 for RIC students until the 17th. After that, they're $12. We had, with Student Activities Day, the week I believe it was February 8th, no, February 1st, sorry. And what we did was we handed out quarter card advertisements for Blue Boston and numbered them on the back. And then we picked out numbers from the number generator on Google, and 5 numbers, 1 free ticket, so 1 free ticket. Of the 5 numbers, only 2 people picked up their tickets, so I'm happy to see some people kept their tickets and went out to get them. I'm hoping at some other point the other 3 will show up. If not, we'll be able to give those out at some other point. We're trying to work on other ways to get the co-sponsoring organizations to pick up the advertising and have some giveaways. So far we have programming, which is co-sponsoring a large portion. RSA is looking to co-sponsor. WXIN is also co-sponsoring, and there are a few more that I can't remember off the top of my head. But hopefully with the help of all the other organizations, we'll get the word out on campus. The executive board met today, and the executive council met today, and we talked about how to advertise on other campuses. So we're going to be reaching out to student organs and student governments at other college campuses in and around the state to tell them about the event and get some ads in their paper so we get some people coming in from there too.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item D, inaugural showcase update. President Rosario.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you could please refer to the schedule of events that you were given at the beginning of the meeting. On Thursday, February 16th, we will be hosting a student showcase down at the Dining Center. The purpose of the showcase is, again, to show the accomplishments of our students on this campus and allow community members, faculty, staff, alumni, and administration to have a chance to engage with some amazing student leaders that we have on our campus. We're finding that a lot of students, dozens and dozens, have signed up to present their research at this event, which is super exciting because a lot of these students don't have a platform to do so, so we're excited to see that. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing a lot of student organizations signing up for this showcase. In fact, we have less than a dozen organizations when we have over 50 funded organizations, and well over 50 funded organizations that we would have expected to attend. So if you're a part of an organization, I would strongly encourage you to reach out and kind of push for them to have a table. It's a great time just to connect with people, just to show what your organization is doing. Along with the showcase, you'll be getting a lot of performances. We'll have the Rhode Island College Choir, the musical theater program, and the dance company all performing at this event. So it's a really good time to kind of show support to your fellow students, and I would encourage this body to attend. And if anyone's willing to help us with setup, we will greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
President Lee.
Yes, my other question is regarding the whole commemoration week, because it's relevant to the schedule we have as an entire week. The gala, will there be student representation at that gala?
Yes. So 5 of the executive council members will be attending, and we will also have 5 students attending the gala along with us. So in total, there will be 10 students attending the gala, and any other student who will purchase a ticket at $100. That's it.
Again, my question.
Secretary Speed.
And how are the students being selected? So they're
So the Executive Council has created a list of student leaders who we believe exemplify the true definition of student leaders. And so we've reached out to these students, some of them, and we also have a waiting list going, and depending on the amount of tickets available, the students will be selected from that pool.
Is there any further discussion? With that, we will move on to new business. A, DACA support resolution. President Rosario and Secretary Speed.
So, over winter break, the University of Rhode Island Student Senate contacted our office and stated that they were very interested in proposing sort of a joint resolution to the Post-Secondary Council of Education supporting DACA and making sure that our undocumented students felt protected and supported by their governing bodies under the ASGA, or the American State Government Association. Upon review of their document, we felt it was not necessarily aligned with the way that we function as a corporation, so we're proposing this resolution instead of co-signing on the University of Rhode Island resolution, but they will be presented together at the next Post-Secondary Council meeting. And so it reads, Whereas we believe that every student has the potential to contribute to our campus, regardless of immigration status. And whereas the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA policy provides protection from deportation. And whereas we understand that RIC does serve undocumented students and cannot ask these students to self-identify. And whereas there are students who have expressed concerns about looking into DACA protection and believe their education could be threatened. So, be it therefore resolved that Student Parliament supports the position of our fellow state institution of higher education, University of Rhode Island, to stand in favor of DACA protection for our students in front of the Post-Secondary Council of Higher Education. Be it further resolved that we will support the rights and privileges of all students on the Rhode Island College campus. We acknowledge that we are the voice of the student body, and we understand that this does not change based on identity.
Seeking a motion to approve the resolution. Motion from Vice President Payne. Seeking a second. Second from, second is withdrawn. I'm seeking a second.
Point of order, I think the motion and the second is on the document as one submitted.
You are correct. So is there any discussion on this resolution? Vice Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Chair, President Rosario, I'm just wondering if SEG's legal counsel has had an opportunity to review this document. Because while in the past, student community government has taken positions on matters of political concern, there is a stipulation in the tax code for a 501c3 organization such as student community government prohibits taking a partisan stance on a particular issue if it impacts. And it's very complicated and detailed. I don't believe looking at this that there's anything wrong in it that would endanger SEG's nonprofit status. But because the IRS has a very strict interpretation of those rules, I'm just wondering if legal counsel has an opportunity just to review this to protect the corporation before it does endorse it.
So because it is not the typical protocol for a resolution, no. I don't believe that this resolution is meant to take a stance for or against DACA, rather to say that we will protect our students using DACA protection or using the fundamentals of DACA, making sure that our undocumented students are supported by this body in front of the Post-Secondary Council. But again, that's my interpretation of what we're presenting.
So I guess my question is, you're basically saying SEG's counsel or attorney or retainer has not had an opportunity to review. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this? Representative Ruggieri.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment that there should be a comma after be it therefore resolved.
Is there any objection to this amendment being accepted as friendly? Hearing no objection, the amendment is accepted as friendly. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Secretary Spadea.
I think it wouldn't hurt going off of Alumni Representative Lima's discussion earlier. I don't think it would hurt to have our attorney Kaz Carvalho take a look at it just to make sure that this won't interfere with our functioning and how we're classified. So later on, I would suggest someone make a motion to have this tabled to our next meeting until he has the opportunity to look at it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Vice President Dean.
Motion to table until our next meeting until such time as SEG's attorney has reviewed the document.
Which of those? Until the next meeting or until what it is?
Next meeting.
Motion from Vice President Dame to table this resolution until the next meeting. Seeking a second. Second from Representative Enright. Is there any discussion on this motion to table? Hearing no discussion, we move to a vote. All in favor of tabling the resolution until the next meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? And with that, the resolution is tabled until the next meeting. Now move on to new business B, applicant training, President Rosario.
Hello everyone again, it's me. So I mentioned this multiple times throughout last semester, and I've even mentioned it this semester. One of my main goals for this year is to pilot this sort of advocate training for LGBT safe zone training, as well as Title IX sort of sexual assault peer advocate training. After Vice President Cano Morales was appointed to her position, we met and we decided that we would really like to move forward on this sooner rather than later, because we believe that these are both pressing issues on this college campus as well as nationwide. In order to be proactive, I will be keeping a sign-up sheet in my office where students who are interested in either serving as sources of information or serving in the actual development of these pilot programs can get involved with their name, phone number, and email. We have started discussion, and in fact, we have started already building these programs, but we'd like input, and we'd like to hear what students would want in these types of programs and how you think we could better engage not only students, but faculty, staff, and administration. So if you're interested in serving in that capacity, please come to the office and sign up on my sign-up sheet.
Thank you. Now move on to item C, inaugural volleyball game, President Rosario.
So President Sanchez and his cabinet have approached me. If you refer to the schedule of events for the inauguration, on Sunday afternoon from 12 to 3 p.m., the rec center will be hosting a variety of sports games. In order to begin the volleyball tournament, there will be Team Sanchez, which is President Sanchez and his family, and they have asked that student community government create a team of students to begin the volleyball tournament by facing against President Sanchez's team. If you are interested in serving in that volleyball game, please come see me after the meeting and sign up. I have a sign-up sheet, and I would very much appreciate student involvement.
Secretary Spada.
I will gladly participate in the game, and I would love to see my peers play with me. I'm horrible at volleyball, so please help. That's all I have.
Treasurer Lima.
Unfortunately, I'll be working my part-time job at a local grocery store on that day. I encourage anyone who is available, please go to this event and go to all of the events when they can for the inauguration week.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this agenda item? With that, we'll move on to item 11, updates and remarks. A, administration update. Scott King is not here. Move on to item B, faculty update. Dr. Michelle Brophy-Merriman. And thank you. We'll move on to item C, alumni update. Mr. Nicholas Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Inauguration things and all that jazz, so you go know what's going on there. I just want to reiterate, current theme of noted in the body. I look around the table and it's sort of getting frighteningly empty. And I would just like to encourage members of this body to recruit. One suggestion actually would be for the new vice president to have the PR committee launch a media campaign to recruit more members of this body. Remind students that even that they are compensated for their time here, and they're certainly compensated by the learning experience that they get as being a member of student parliament and having the opportunity to have a voice in so many important matters of impact for the campus. I did both this meeting and the last meeting participate on many of these issues. I prefer my role would be more of answering questions if anyone has them, but because the body is so small, I always feel like I have to interject more because there are not enough voices around the table to analyze every issue and come at it from different angles and think about it critically. So I believe if you want to hear less from me, definitely get some more people around this body so I can step back into the shadows a bit more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item 12, appointments, resignations, and vacancies. President Rosario.
I have multiple resignations that we're going to take each one at a time. The first resignation is from Representative Nella. She will be resigning from Parliament, the Student Entertainment Committee, and the Student Organizations Committee due to family matters and time constraints. I ask that this resignation be accepted with deep regret.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret? No objection.
Point of order, you also mean deep regret and unanimous consent?
I do. Unanimous consent. Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regrets.
The next resignation is from Lily Gallo. She will be resigning from the Ad Hoc Committee on Faculty, Staff, Students' Choice Ceremony due to scheduling conflict. I ask that this resignation be accepted with unanimous consent and deep regret.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regrets.
The next resignation is from Jason Johnson. he will be resigning from the Elections Commission as he is no longer a current student this semester. I ask that the resignation also be accepted with unanimous consent.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regret.
The next resignation is from Representative Ruggieri. Representative Ruggieri is resigning from the Library Advisory Committee due to scheduling conflicts. I ask that this resignation be accepted with unanimous consent and deep regret.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regret.
The next resignation is from Deputy Speaker Alden Sears. Deputy Speaker Alden Sears will be resigning from the Chief of Staff position and from the Finance Commission due to his election to the position of Deputy Speaker. I ask that this resignation be accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent?
I object. I don't think it's deep.
Treasurer Lima objects. Motion.
I make a motion to accept the resignation with deep regret.
Motion from Alumni Representative Lima to accept the resignation with deep regret and unanimous. Second from Vice President Dane. Is there any discussion on this resignation? Hearing no discussion, we would move to a vote. All in favor of accepting this resignation with deep regret, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
No.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Deputy Speaker Alden Sears abstains, and with that, the resignation is accepted with deep regret.
Thanks, Mike. The next resignation is from Daniel Seavey. Mr. Seavey will be resigning from the Elections Commission and the Student Life Committee. I ask for this to be accepted with unanimous consent and deep regret.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regret.
The final resignation is from Madison Sharkey. She will be resigning from the Ad Hoc Committee on Faculty and Staff Student Choice Ceremonies due to scheduling conflicts. I ask that this be accepted with unanimous consent and deep regret.
Is there any objection to this resignation being accepted with deep regret and unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, it is accepted with deep regret.
We now move on to appointments. There is only one appointment tonight. I will be appointing Emma Holman to the final non-student parliament seat on the Student Organizations Committee. I ask that be accepted with unanimous consent.
Is there any objection to this appointment being made with unanimous consent? With that, the appointments are confirmed.
Now we move on to vacancies. I would just like to point out that there are student parliament vacancies on the following committees: the Academic Affairs Committee, the Bylaws and Education Committee, the Conditions and Services Committee, the Elections Commission. There are 2 student parliament seats left on the Finance Commission. There are student parliament seats left on the Personnel Evaluation Committee. There are multiple student parliament seats left on the Public Relations Committee, and multiple student parliament seats on the Student Organizations Committee. And that completes my report on parliament vacancies.
Alumni Representative Lima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wonder, Mr. President, if there are any any vacancies on college committees?
There are vacancies on the following committees: the Committee on Academic Policies and Procedures, the Campus Store Advisory Committee, which I believe has gone through a name change for the Bookstore Advisory Committee. The Dining Services Advisory Board has a Parliament commuter member seat open and 2 commuter seats open. The General Education Committee, the Human Relations Committee, the Library Advisory Committee, the Committee on Online Learning, and the Advisory Committee on Undergraduate Admissions Policies, and the Vision 2020 Committee on all have vacancies.
Thank you, Speaker.
Is there any further discussion? With that, we move on to item 13, issues of Parliament members. Please raise your card if you have an issue you would like to discuss. Treasurer Lima.
Well, I hope everyone has the same day tomorrow. I know Rick has already canceled classes throughout the day. It's going to be quite a storm.
Is there any further issues upon the members? With that, I am seeking a motion to adjourn. Motion from Deputy Speaker Alvin Sears, second from Vice President Dane. Is there any discussion on adjournment? No. Now move to a vote. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Abstentions? With that, we are adjourned. Please stay silent and seated while Mr. Obiak does the roll call.
Jose Rosario.
Here.
Taylor